Hey folks, Quill18 here, and welcome to the Age of Wonders live stream over here on twitch.tv/GOGcom. Very excited to be doing this little collaboration with the good old games people. Great website, great place to get some games, mostly DRM free. Every now and again, some of the games they have has got like some crappy third-party DRM, just like Steam does. But overall, it is actually a site that I like to buy games from, and I'm not just saying that because they're supporting this stream. Hello, hello, hello! Got a good collection of viewers, both on twitch.tv/Quill18 and twitch.tv/GOGcom. If you're not subscribed to both channels, you should definitely do that. Or rather, I should say, if you don't follow both channels, you should be following both channels. There's going to be some great content on GOGcom in the coming weeks. Lots of big YouTubers doing lots of stuff, most of them much, much bigger than I am. And of course, if you don't know me, Quill18, I play video games mostly on YouTube. You can find me at youtube.com/Quill18. I do mostly strategy games, indie stuff, roguelikes, that sort of thing, but really, really heavy on strategy games, Civilization, Europa Universalis, Crusader Kings, that sort of thing. Really enjoy that, so make sure to check out my channel as well and follow so that you'll get an email when we go live. All right! So, Age of Wonders 3. If you don't know what this is, it's sort of a 4X empire building game in a fantasy setting. So, you know, you're building cities, you're building armies, you're going around conquering the world, but also magic, because that's awesome. One of my favorite games growing up was Master of Magic, which not as many people have played perhaps as much as Heroes of Might and Magic, which are two different series, but very, very similar to the whole Age of Wonders thing. And Age of Wonders itself is in its third iteration, and I have to say, I think it's probably the best take on the genre so far that I've played. I've played a lot of these games, and I really like Age of Wonders 3. And we're going to be playing with the new Golden Realms expansion, which adds halflings to the mix, as well as a few other things. So we're going to be getting started on that. So, going to go ahead and hit a new game. We're going to do a random map just to keep things a little bit interesting. There's a lot of options. You can choose how many players are going to be in there, from 2 to 8. We're going to keep the default of 4. We're going to keep a medium map size just to try to keep it a little short. We're only streaming for a couple hours here. I don't expect we'll be able to finish in that time, but we're going to do our best to put in a good chunk of gameplay in there. Difficulty ranges from Squire all the way to Emperor. We're going to go ahead and leave it sort of the middle range with Lord here. I don't have a lot of experience in the game, and I also I don't want to be too easy. I don't want to be too hard. Hopefully it'll be just right to be interesting. There's a bunch of advanced options you can do as well to tune the starting circumstances quite a bit. Geography, and there's also the new Seals Victory system. I guess we could turn it on so we can talk about it. There are some seals, these locations on the map. I think, given our map size and number of players, I think there's going to be 5 of them. And if you control them, you slowly accumulate points. And then, based on the slider, once you get to a certain amount of points, you win the game. It's very similar to a lot of sort of domination maps that you might be used to in, like, MOBAs and first-person shooters and that sort of thing. It adds an interesting twist to the game. Personally, it applies a lot of pressure. And I'm the kind of guy who likes to, like, sit there and, like, build up for 6 hours and then slowly crawl out across the map, so it doesn't really let you do that. It really puts a lot of pressure on you to go forth and slaughter people. There's 2 planes of existence. There's the surface and the underground. I'm only going to use the surface, but the underground is kind of interesting in that you can find tunnels that bring you to a whole other parallel world, which changes things up quite a bit. Everyone in the chat is good? Yeah. All right, next. So, and yeah, we can set up, you know, who the other players are going to be. We can have multiplayer stuff. Everything is supported in this game easily. 2 types of turn, classic turns and simultaneous turns. Simultaneous is really good in multiplayer. Literally everyone plays it once. I find that sometimes when the AI is having fights sort of in the background, I can't necessarily control things in as much of a real-time sort of format as I would feel comfortable doing. So I'm actually going to switch over to classic turns, which most people prefer simultaneous, but I don't know, I think it's because of the games that I tend to play, like Civilization. I'm really addicted to classic turns, where just one person goes, and the next, and the next, and the next, which wouldn't be as good online, but against a computer, it's great. Otherwise, we're going to leave the defaults on, where if we do form an alliance, we can technically win that way, but I don't think that's going to happen. And yeah, there's further advanced rules that you can set up, but we'll let that go. I will launch there, and then we'll be able to customize our character. So we can choose from a variety of pre-made characters. You can also bookmark existing ones as well. I'm going to go ahead and create someone new, and because we're playing the new expansion, we're going to be playing with the Halflings. Brand new race in the expansion. Are they strong? Are they weak? I don't know. so far the sense I'm getting is that they're not really stronger than anything else. And they certainly have a few drawbacks, but they have some really interesting mechanics that I'm looking forward to fiddling around with. Now, I did run a poll to see which class we should play, and the top class voted for was the Dreadnought. There are 6 classes in the game currently, although the developers have just announced that the next expansion / DLC is going to introduce a new Necromancer class, which is going to be really exciting. But the vote that came out on top was the Dreadnought. The Dreadnought class is a class that builds a lot of machines, golems, cannons, that sort of thing, and just destroys people through technology, which is actually going to allow us to get away around one of the Halfling weaknesses, which is that they take 20% more physical damage than everyone else. To compensate, they've got something called Lucky. We'll talk about that once they're in the game. But if we just use machines to do all of our dirty work, then that's not really going to affect us quite so much. So we've got the gender selection over here. And, yeah, everything else is the same. We've also got some specializations we can take over on this side over here. Now, I also did another poll to ask if we should be good or evil. And it was very, very, very close, just within a few percentage points. But evil is winning out. That being said, I'm very tempted to start with Creation Adept, which does come with good aligned skills, so it's a bit, yeah. The thing is, Creation Adept has a spell available to it called Bless, and if you bless someone, it gives them a massive morale boost, which, as we'll find out once we're in the game, will be very advantageous for our Halflings. But if we're going to be evil, it doesn't really fit in there. I think if you're going to play Halflings, generally speaking, you probably want to go good, but we're going to go ahead and be evil Halflings. We'll go ahead and grab the first level of destruction just to be interesting. Now, because the Halflings also get gargantuan terrain, well, morale is so important for them, and they don't like most terrain. They mostly just like temperate and like heavily like vegetable thing, like lots of trees, forested areas. I can't remember what their name for it is in the game. And that restricts them, but both Adept of Fire and Adept of Air, both of them have a spell that you can cast on a city to make that city like either volcanic terrain or Arctic terrain. So I'm kind of tempted to do this to avoid any sort of massive what am I going to say, morale penalties. On the other hand, the other option is just if we take any cities down there, or found any cities down there, we can make sure they're not Halfling cities, because you can migrate populations to different things like that. So, on the other hand, some people are asking for Wild and Partisans with their new spheres, so maybe we'll do that. That's not a bad idea. We'll grab the first level of Magic Adept, and we'll throw in Partisan as well. These are 2 new specializations that are available. Chaos Magic is very chaotic. Partisan is, they say, expert in guerrilla warfare, developing small armies deep within enemy territory and heavily relying on stealth. I haven't really played with the Partisan stuff. We'll see how it works out, but that would be the new stuff. A lot of requests for maybe a female Halfling, so we're going to have an evil female Halfling in here. We don't, just to be evil, we don't have to pick Destruction. On the other hand, there is a new sort of Empire mission-based system that's out there, and if we can go and become like pure evil before anyone else does, we'll get a big reward. So maybe we'll go ahead and go all in on evil. So, first of all, we're going to need a name. So, we're going to want a name that fools people into thinking we're not totally evil. So, I think we're going to go something like The Harmless. You know, just we're going to lull people into a false sense of security. So, we're going to go with Miss Carsonell. Oh, I can't. It's not enough text. Can I go Carsonell? Carsonell the Harmless is going to be our hero. For those of you who are veterans of my channel, you will get that reference. How do we want her to look? It's a very good question, because there's a lot of options. I can just hit randomize a few times. Oh, it changes gender? How do we change gender again from here? Ah, from here. Oh, she looks kind of nice. Nope. I like the Harmless. She's got scars all over her, missing an eye. She's been in a fight with a few giant badgers. In fact, those arms... There's no way to just change the arms, is there? Because it would be cool if they were like mechanized arms. But we're going to pretend that they're mechanized arms. After all, she is a Dreadnought. So, save leader so that we can come back to her later on. But here we go, Carsonell. And we're going to go ahead and hit done. We could tune the colors. We could change the symbol on our thing. The swords aren't bad. I don't know what else we might want. The dove for peace. Again, fooling people as much as possible. Sort of burning cross thing. Arrows. Well, like the this looks like a couple of big mechanical wings or arms. I like this. We're gonna keep with the black and sort of browny kind of natural colors. We'll go ahead and start that up. Yeah, the H is silent. It's all about fooling people. So when in a Dwarf Fortress game, I had a character from one of my subscribers, Ms. Carsonell, and very first thing that happened in the game is her arms got ripped off by a giant badger. It was awful. It was fantastic. All right, so here we go. Our rise to power begins. So here is the game screen. Will be very tutorial-y kind of thing, as much as possible for people who have not played this game before. We do start off with the initial town because of how we configured the starting circumstances in the game. We've got an army here with Carsonell, who's an actual leader in-game. She's an actual character that walks around. She's got stats. She's got a variety of characteristics and traits over here. One thing to note with your leader specifically, if your leader dies in battle, after a few turns, you will resurrect at your throne city, which right now is Brittlebush. Let's go ahead and rename this to Brussels, of course. And so Brussels is our capital, is our throne city. So if we die, we will respawn here. If we die and our capital is gone because it's been conquered, then we just lose the game. So that is number one. Also, it looks like we've got a hero here waiting to be potentially hired on. We're going to go ahead and deal with the pop-ups in the bottom right corner, prompting us to do things. So we're going to select a skill to research. So there's a research system. Some of these things are spells. Some of them are just traits that are empire-wide. For example, solid engineering means that all armored and machine units would get +1 defense. So that's just sort of, once you research it, you just get that for free. And that's pretty cool. Other things like basic seafaring, produce engineer, for example, allows the ability of producing certain types of units. Specifically, basic seafaring is required for being able to embark your units and go across water. Hasty plunder is a special. Now, some of these are generic. Basic seafaring, at the bottom it says class avatar. That means anyone can research it. Hasty plunder is something only destruction adepts can get. I picked destruction, so I can do this, which allows me to raise a city much, much, much faster. Killer instinct is a destruction adept spell. Mana fuel cells is something based on my class, the Dreadnought, and so on and so forth. So depending on what kind of setup you go with, they're going to be different every single time. So, and I'm a big fan of mana fuel cells. It's a spell you cast on a city. It does require 20 mana per turn to maintain, but it gives your city 20 extra hammers. So you're converting mana into much higher production. I'm a big, huge fan of this spell. And I think I'll actually want to pick it first just to really accelerate things. So we're going to start researching that. We've got, we're getting 20 research points per turn. That's what the candle is. And this costs 60 research. And so it'll take 3 turns for us to research. So I'm going to get started on that. That'll be fine. We've got a hero who wants to join us. So we've got Hastra the Illusionist, which actually happens to be a halfling as well, which is just, you know, just sort of lucky. So she's got a sorcerer class, so she's a little bit more of a potent spellcaster. Generally speaking, I will hire the first hero that comes. Heroes are cool because they're relatively powerful. They're more powerful than units you will build at this stage, although they're far from indestructible. They can level up and become really, really potent. They also don't have an upkeep cost. So yeah, they cost 100 gold up front to hire, but then there's no upkeep. So if you can keep them alive, you can very quickly sort of get your money's worth out of them. So I'll go ahead and accept them. I have 300 gold. I've got 200 now. I'm going to make 43 per turn, which isn't bad. Next thing the game wants me to do is to select production. It still says Brittlebush, but obviously this is Brussels. It'll update soon. So there's a few things we can do. We can produce units. Right now we can only produce 4 unit types because of our technology and buildings. We can build buildings. We can also decide to destroy the city. This would be a stupid thing to do in our capital, but might be something we want to do for future cities. Also, if we have cities that belong to different races, we can migrate the races back and forth that way. You'll notice if we mouse over here, it says that this is an active evil. We would actually earn 200 evil points from raising or plundering the city. And because this is one of our cities, we'd also make our empire slightly unhappy, so let's not do that. And then it also shows me the existing upgrades. We've got a wooden wall, barracks, and a Dreadnought factory, which is, again, a very specific, class-specific kind of bonus. So to start off with, there's a couple of different ways to go. Probably starting with the Builder's Hall makes the most sense. It does give us an extra 20 production, which means we'll build things faster. So more hammers allows you to produce things faster, but every building costs money to build, so you're often limited by your actual income. If you actually get too much production, you'll often find yourself in a situation where you're having to wait for money to build up before you can build more. On the other hand, you can always build merchandise to make more money, so it's not really the end of the world. We've got a morale here in the top right corner, which is really going to be incredibly important later on. Right now, our city is very happy because they like the terrain around us, but also, you know, our leader is here and a few other things like that. You'll notice that, again, halflings only like fertile plains and dense vegetation. So, anyway, I'm going to go ahead and start with the Builder's Hall. Then I'm going to queue up the storehouse. The storehouse isn't bad because it does give you a extra population growth. We've got 3,500 people right now. In about 8 turns, we'll grow from a village to a town. So a storehouse will let us grow even faster, but it leads to public baths, which are really good for morale. So I really like to prioritize that quite early. Right now, this is our border that you can see here. Once, as our city grows sizes, our border will automatically expand, and it will bring in extra stuff. Right now, we've got we've got 2 special things within our borders. We have a gold mine, which gives us an extra income of 10 gold per turn, and we've also got a mana node, which is giving us 10 mana per turn. Once our borders expand by 1, we'll also be able to bring in this great farm over here, which gives us an extra 100 people per turn. However, it's currently guarded by monsters of some description. What do we got? We've got some boars here, an army of boars that is defending this farm. So we're going to want to clear that out so that when our borders do expand, we'll be able to take advantage of that. Also, killing things gives you experience points. We've got a few other notes. We need to win. We can win by defeating all rival empires. We can win in an allied victory. We should protect our leader in the throne city. Also, we've got the seals. There are 5 seals in the area, and anyone who gets 35 charges will simply win the game. Now, the seals are guarded by monsters at first, so we've got a little bit of time before we need to start worrying about it, but we will need to start worrying about it. And then there's also Empire Quest, and unless I'm mistaken, these are new in the Golden Realms, where if you're the first to do certain things, you will get rewards for being first. I would really love to grab Pentatopia, because if you do that, you get 100 Empire Happiness. But I find the AI is really good at, like, beating me to this. Maybe it's just because I don't prioritize building a bunch of settlers or something. I like to grow a little bit taller. But because I grow tall, I tend to get the Imperial Residence quicker, which is nice. And then your Grand Palace will give you more casting points and city happiness. Only in this city, but that's still okay. Master Smith might be doable to us as well. And if we can grab Prime Evil, that would be quite nice. But there's a bunch of these little traits, and they're all pretty decent. And then next thing is our army needs an order. So your army can have up to 6 people in it. So I've got a stack of 6 right now in my city. I'm going to go ahead and actually select all of them except for one dude. And I'm going to step into that other hero we got. So now we've got 2 heroes in this army, plus some extra halflings. We've got the halfling brew brother. The halfling units are the coolest. You can build halfling farmers that actually throw chickens at people. And the brew brothers will give people booze to improve their morale. So let's go ahead and jump into a fight right over here. So we've got our stats. The game predicts very likely victory. If I wanted to, I could just hit auto combat. It would just instantly resolve. And some people like to play that way. Most people like to play the full tactical combat out, and certainly we're going to do that, especially at first over here. So we'll go ahead and jump into the manual combat. I'm actually pretty lazy. I tend to like going into manual combat, but I don't always micromanage if it's going to be a really obvious win, assuming I'm not going to lose anyone. So far, all my units are still level 1, including my heroes. If I check out the Brew Brothers over here, you can see they're simply recruit class right now. As they gain experience points, they will go up in ranking. What? Oh, that was the other team moving. Sorry. I was like, what's going on? They will, yeah, as they gain experience points, they'll go up in ranking, they'll get extra stats, and just become generally stronger. The same thing happens with your heroes, but you actually get to pick what stats they get as an upgrade. So, the boars have moved forward. With a unit selected, I can see different ranges over here. Each unit gets 3 actions per turn, and the colors here represent how many actions you'll have left over after you reach the square. So if I step forward just 1 tile, I'll still have 3 actions left. If I move into the yellow area, I'll only have 2 actions left, and if I move into the orange area, I'll only have 1 action left to do. And attacking, for example, takes an action. So the other thing we can do is we can cast spells, because we can cast spells all the time, and heroes in the fights can often cast spells as well. Even if our actual leader is not present in the game, in a particular battle, the leader will still be able to cast her spells from sort of her fortress or whatever, but they'll be twice as expensive. You can only cast 1 spell per round. I'm very tempted to actually use Hostra over here. Her Magic Fist should do a crap ton of damage. We could Magic Fist this turn and then still have enough mana to Starblades. Or, what do I have? I have some cavalry, right, that can reach over here? I think maybe what we'll do is we will have Astra casts Star Blades on our cavalry, which makes their attacks inflict shocking and gives them +1 lightning damage, +1 fire damage, and +1 frost damage until the end of the combat. So that's maybe a really good idea. So we're going to go ahead and cast Star Blades on our cavalry over here. And then I'm going to go ahead and attack. Now, because I have to move into the orange to attack, I'll only get one swing. You can see how much damage it's expected to do. There's a 34% chance I'll also shock them, which will slow them. They will retaliate because they had some action points left over at the end, so they'll hit me back for a little bit of damage. And because I'm a halfling, I've got 20% physical weakness. That's just something all halflings have. On the other hand, all halflings have the lucky trait, which to start off with, you have a 15% chance that any attack or spell just misses you. Now, 15% is less than 20%, which means for purely physical stuff, you're still coming out behind. But it gives you a chance of dodging fire, lightning, all kinds of stuff. Spells that might stun you and slow you and do all kinds of that thing. So it actually works out pretty well. And if you get your morale higher, you can actually get your lucky chance all the way up to 50%, which would be stunningly good. So we're going to go ahead and just take that attack. So this thing is about half dead or more so. It's at 18 of 28. Oh no, here, 18 of 40 is how many hit points it's got. So it took more than half, whereas I took but a scratch over here, which isn't bad. Now, Hastra casts a spell, so she can't act again. Carsonel, the Armless, can attack. She can charge as well, which will do pretty good damage. In fact, has a chance of killing it outright. We could also just shoot. We've got a musket that can do pretty good damage, but because of the high range, right now we're going to do half damage. What we could do is actually scooch up to be close enough to shoot over here. The 12 to 18 damage should include the range penalty of -50%. So if we get close enough, we should actually be able to one-shot this boar at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and step forward and then take that shot. Yeah, it's predicted to do 24 to 36 damage. That yellow pop-up there is because I had such high morale, I got a critical hit, which did double damage. So I actually did 49 points of damage there. I actually would have been able to one-shot that boar in the first place. Oops. Our Halfling Brew Brother. Okay, so we've got a few options here. This guy can throw cleavers, although it's a relatively short-range attack. He can also give a nourishing meal to someone, which increases their maximum hit points by 15 and gives them 100 extra morale. So what I think I might do is... Oh yeah, and here's a farmer who can throw chickens. I was going to say, I could give the nourishing meal to the farmers, increase their morale, which would increase their luck probably, and then sort of put them by the boards. They'll probably get eaten though. Well, the Night Watch isn't bad. Tell you what, I'm going to move the Night Watch up here to guard the Brew Brother. The Brew Brother will go ahead and give him a nourishing meal. Eat some bunnies. And then our Halfling Farmer actually has really good range with his chicken. He only brings one chicken into battle. But it'll do decent damage and also gives them a speed penalty. So we're going to go ahead and throw that over there. Do 10 points of damage. 10 points of chicken damage. And our Halfling Night Watch, we're actually just going to tell him to guard. If you don't do an attack on your turn, you can go into a defensive stance, which will increase your defense and resistance based on how many actions you've got left, but also give you heightened awareness where you can't be flanked, for example. Go next turn. Oh, the boars are... They took the long way around to attack... oh, that's Miss Carsonel over here. And then also attacking... Oh, no, that's Carsonel, and this is Hastra. So that's fine. They split their damage. There was no risk of actually killing us, which is great. I'm going to go ahead and step forward here with the Halfling Brew Brothers, which should put them in perfect range. Also, because they're going to be attacking from behind here, they're going to get a flanking bonus to do extra damage. Now, they're actually, because they have 3 actions left, they're going to shoot their cleavers 3 times. Only the first one's going to get the flanking bonus, because after that, the creature will turn to face them. But it's still going to be a pretty good start. Plus, we're going to combo that, because they're going to turn to face us. That means Ms. Hastra behind here is going to be able to flank and backstab. Well, not actually backstab. Backstab's an ability. 14 damage, 15 damage, 10 damage. Almost killed them in the first place. So Hastra will be able to easily finish them off. They've only got 1 hit point. The fact that it's a flanking thing makes no difference whatsoever. In fact, I think what I would rather do... Yeah, I'm just going to use the Halfling Farmer to kill off the boar. You'll notice there'll be no retaliation because it will die instantly. There we go. And that will free up Hastra to do something else. She's got a Shocking Bolt attack that she can use. So she'll actually get a flank on here on these boars and hit 3 times. She could also cast some spells, but I think just going for the attack would be pretty good. Who else hasn't moved yet? The Night Watch. Actually, I think the Night Watch will attack these boars from behind first, turn them around, then Miss Carsnell will be able to attack from behind. Like so. You also notice these Night Watch just leveled up as well. Alright! First combat done.